So it is that time of the season again. Well, it's been that time. And I've got my compost bins going on. Well, compost slash worm bins. So I just want to show you how the worm bin's coming along, how things are breaking down. So give me a minute, just a second. I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart. I've actually got 3 layers. I've got my bottom layer that does nothing but catches the worm tea, all the water that filters through the worm castings and the compost. And that's basically, the little bit of compost tea I've been using so far. I've pretty much just been using manure tea. And manure tea is great. It's high in nitrogen, which is what I've been wanting to start my garden off with, is a good nitrogen-based fertilizer. So it is getting to that time where I want to start using compost. That way I can give it more of the things it needs to fruit. And so let me just get this pulled apart. I'll show you what's going on inside. Basically I've got 2 different layers here. I've got one layer that's closer to being finished than the other layer, and basically the top layer's just got a bunch of rabbit manure in it that's gonna become compost for compost tea. Here's my top layer, and basically right now I've got some coffee filters, some old bananas that went bad, manure, bedding. It actually stays pretty dry on top. I haven't had a lid on it or anything, so it does. I do have some bugs flying around, but yeah, I'm sure down underneath the surface it is pretty moist, but that's not where the worms are hanging out. The worms are hanging out over here, and there you can see one that's climbing back under. So I do have worms in here active, and I'm pretty sure most of them are in this bin. You can see a corn cob there that's breaking down, but this is, it's pretty, it's kind of close to being ready for me to harvest some of the castings, but it's not quite ready. It's probably got another good month. And the worms help break it down quicker. But this is kind of one of them things I don't try to rush. The longer you give it, the more you let it break down, the better and stronger it's going to be. And I do like it good and strong because I water it down quite a bit. And I've got a surprise coming up. I actually got a big 55-gallon drum, so eventually when I finally get to it, I'm going to show you how to make a rain barrel. But anyway, till then I'm still hauling water and trying to save as much as I can in my 5-gallon buckets when it rains. So, and real quick before I do shut this off, I want to show you my finished compost that I've been using. And word to the wise, when you make compost, don't use your old tomatoes unless you want a whole bunch of tomatoes to be sprouting, because you can see there I got a few throughout here and I have been plucking them like crazy. But anyway, this is the the fuel behind all my tomatoes and everything. When it starts getting to where everything's starting to flower, which is about that time, this is what I use. I basically just use the manure tea to get a good start, to get everything off to a good growing point, get it established, and then when it's ready to start fruiting, I use compost tea. And the compost, it gives it's not as much nitrogen, it's more phosphorus and potassium and a bunch of other trace elements. and it's basically it's better for making it fruit.